the guidance. Okay? So remember, we're done already with prelim topics, namely microbial control, your bacterial cultivation, bacterial components, etc. So for midterms, we're going to start the discussion with the different genera of bacteria. We will start with the gram-positive. So hopefully maganda yung naging performance ninyo ngayong prelim. If not, by the way, no, yung quiz pala natin for microbial control, ano pang hindi natin ako quiz? Microbial control and workflow. Okay? So yung workflow at saka yung microbial control will be next week. Okay? With our during our face-to-face class. Alright? Okay, sige po. Next week. Kasi wala yan sa schedule na nilagay ko sa Google Classroom. Ibig sabihin, hindi po siya part ng schedule natin for today. Tama po yung interpretation ninyo doon sa mga nagtanong. Okay, anyway. So for the Staphylococcus, we will be starting with the discussion of the gram-positive cocci. So Staphylococcus, okay? Now, the Staphylococcus in comparison with the Streptococcus, because this will be our topic next week, Streptococcus and Enterococcus, I will compare it with these two. Pareho po silang gram-positive cocci. Okay? Except that for the biochemical test, this is catalase positive. On the other hand, your Streptococcus and Enterococcus are catalase negative. Malinaw po ba yon? Parehas silang gram-positive cocci, except that for the Streptococcus and Enterococcus, which will be our topic next week, they are catalase negative. Okay, biochemical test. Now, you have to remember, kapag sa microscopic exam, this is in step number 4B. Naalala ninyo yon? Step number 4B, bacterial identification, microscopic examination. Nakakita po tayo ng gram-positive cocci. Ano yung step number 5? Biochemical. Di po ba? Biochemical test. Ano ang una nating ipa-perform na biochemical test? That would be catalase. Okay, malinaw yan ha. Pag nakakita tayo ng gram-positive cocci sa microscopic exam in step number 4, microscopic. Ang una nating ipa-perform na biochem will be the catalase test, in which Staphylococcus will be positive and Streptococcus and Enterococcus will be negative. Okay? Next. For this discussion, we're going to talk about their general characteristics. So like what I've mentioned before, ang bacteria, parang kikilalanin natin sila, no? Para ma-identify mo. Parang sabi ko nga lagi, it's just like your friends, no? You will know them when you know their characteristic, right? So, ganun din sa bacteria. Makikilala mo sila, ma-identify mo sila once you already know their characteristics. So, we're going to talk about their general characteristic. How do we differentiate Staphylococci from other gram-positive? So, I've already mentioned about two other gram-positive cocci, Entero and Strepto. Anong difference? Staphylo is catalase positive and Entero and Strep are catalase negative. By the way, the lecture material of this discussion for other member of this class na wala pang copy, na provide ko na po pala to kay Ate Tere. Okay, pakikuha na lang po sa kanya. Pero kung meron na, wala naman pong problema. Okay, number 3, we're going to talk about how to identify. Paano ba yung workflow from step number 1 up to step number 6. Okay, and for those method or for those tests, we are also going to explain the principles and the expected results. Right? Let's start. So, ang Staphylococcus is under the family. Dadagdagan lang po ng suffix, 'di ba? Na ACEAE, Staphylococcaceae. As I've mentioned, biochemically, it is catalase positive. Pag nakakita tayo ng gram-positive cocci, ano ang initial biochemical test? This is the third time I'll be mentioning this, catalase test. Malinaw po ba? And then, once na nag-perform tayo ng coagulase, which is another test, dapat kung Staphylococcus aureus yan, kasi may mga Staphylococcus na positive sa coagulase, meron ding nagne-negative. Generally, we use to differentiate Staphylococcus using the coagulase test. Okay? Coagulase test. Kung mapapansin ninyo, it ends in ASE. ASE. Ibig sabihin, dyan sa test na yan, dinedetermine natin kung nandyan ba o wala yung enzyme. Naintindihan? So, ibig sabihin, pag nag-positive siya dun sa test, it means that they have the enzyme. Right? Kung halimbawa, ang Staphylococcus, catalase positive, ibig sabihin, meron siyang enzyme na catalase. Naintindihan? Sa coagulase naman, pag tinest natin siya at nag-positive, ibig sabihin, meron siyang coagulase enzyme. Right? Pero, meron ding mga Staphylococcus na walang coagulase enzyme kasi nagne-negative sa coagulase test. Ang tawag natin sa kanila ay CONS. This stands for coagulase negative Staphylococcus. Okay? Coagulase negative Staphylococcus. This is small letter ha. Staphylococcus. Malinaw po ba? Okay. Next. So, as I've mentioned, they are all gram-positive cocci. What is the most common arrangement? That would be in grape-like cluster like this. So, kung mapapansin ninyo, ayan, naka-cluster siya pero very significant or very prominent yung pagiging grape-like cluster niya. So that is one of the characteristic microscopically of the Staphylococcus. Kasi meron ding mga naka-cluster katulad ng Micrococcus. Ang Micrococcus, guys, it resembles your Staphylococcus. In what way, ma'am? Number one, parehas po silang gram-positive cocci. What else? Parehas po silang naka-cluster. Pero ang Micrococcus ay irregular. Okay? Irregular cluster. Ang Staphylococcus, grape-like cluster. Malinaw po ba yon? Another thing, parehas po silang catalase positive. Pero ang Micrococcus, hindi po yan nagpa-positive sa coagulase. 'Di ba ang mga Staphylococcus may coagulase positive? Karamihan ng mga Micrococcus coagulase negative. So kung irregular cluster siya, ma'am, ano ang kadalasan niyang arrangement? Karalasan ng mga Micrococcus ay naka-tetrad. Okay? And similarly, parehas po sila ng staph at ng micrococci na mga normal flora ng skin ng tao. Makikita rin natin sila from the environment. But both of them are found as normal flora of the human skin and mucous membrane. Parehas po silang normal flora. Okay? Parehas din silang merong yellow pigment. Okay, saan? Yung colonies po nila. parehas pong nagde-demonstrate. Naalala ninyo ang Staphylococcus aureus, golden yellow colonies. So pareho silang merong yellow na colonies. Malinaw po ba yon? So dagdagan ko lang itong mga skin colonizer. Other than staph, other than micrococci, ano pa? Cocuria. Okay? We also have Chaetococcus. They are also gram-positive cocci, which are also normal flora of our skin. Okay? Normal flora of our skin. Okay na po to? May tanong po tayo sa first slide. Okay, dagdagan ko lang yung mga gram-positive pa na ma-encounter ninyo other than Cocuria, Chaetococcus, ano pa yung mga gram-positive cocci. We have Rhotia, Mucili ganosa, Aerococcus, and Aliococcus otitidis. Paki-take note po yan, mga pare-parehas po na mga gram-positive cocci. Gram-positive cocci. Okay, may tanong po ba? So, proceed tayo. Right. So, let us differentiate. Kasi, parehas, di ba? Halos yung characteristic ng staphylococci and micrococci. By the way, pag yung cus, di ba, staphylococcus, pinalitan natin ng cocci, ibig pong sabihin, plural form. Okay? Plural form. And remember, in the nomenclature, pwede po natin yan isulat as informal, all small cases. So this is still a correct nomenclature. Okay? So, how do we differentiate them? Number one is yung tinatawag nating modified oxidase or the microdase test, in which, as you can see from the word itself naman, micro. So, dyan po galing yung pangalan ng test. Positive ang micrococci, staphylococci is negative. Understood? Okay, next. In terms of the aerotolerance. Ano yung aerotolerance? Gas. Requirement. Naalala ninyo yung mga strict aerobe, strict anaerobe, right? A-apply na natin dito. So, ang mga staphylococci ay facultative anaerobe. Ang micrococci ay mga strict aerobe. Naalala ninyo yung mga metabolism. Halimbawa, fermentation, oxidation. Pag sinabi nating fermentation, naalala pa ninyo yung bacterial metabolism in which, 'di ba, ang bacteria kumukuha sila ng carbon at energy from carbohydrate. Right? Tapos, without oxygen, fermentation yung tawag sa process. Tama po ba? Ano nga ulit yung product? Ano yung nagiging product natin dito? After the utilization of carbohydrate without the use of oxygen, what is or are the product? Anong product niyan? Kaya nga 'di ba sa culture media, anong ginagamit natin? Kasama ng, that's right, acid po. Okay, very good. Kaya nga 'di ba sa mga culture media, 'di ba gumagamit tayo ng pH indicator para pagka merong acid na na-produce, ibig sabihin na-utilize yung carbohydrate. Di po ba? Tapos pag oxidation, same process except that meron ng oxygen. Di po ba? Okay. Acid pa rin. Right. So ngayon, kung facultative anaerobe ang Staphylococci, ibig sabihin anaerobic yon, di po ba? Kasi pag sinabi nating facultative anaerobe, may or may not require oxygen. Tama? So, between the two, fermentation, yung process niya. Right? Tapos, dahil strict aerobe ang micrococci, this will be oxidation. Clear po ba yon? Kaya dito sa test na anaerobic acid production, glucose is a carbohydrate, glycerol, okay, this is a this has or this also is converted, 'di ba? Naalala niyo 'yon, yung carbohydrate biochemistry, 'di ba? Your carbohydrate na ko-convert natin siya sa glycerol. These are stored fats, right? Which are also source of carbon, right? So, kapag nangyari ang anaerobic acid production, staphylococci yun. Pag hindi nangyari, kasi strict aerobe sila, dapat oxidation, di magne-negative sila. Kaya po ang staphylococci is positive with this test and micrococci is negative. Naintindihan po ba? Okay, guys, please do remember in bacteriology, I know there are a lot of things that is needed, no, to be memorized, but you need to help yourselves not to memorize all of these things. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin, there are things that also you need to understand so that mabawasan yung i-memorize ninyo. 'Di ba? So kung halimbawang naintindihan ninyo na, okay, ang Staphylococci facultative anaerobe, so hindi nyo na i-memorize na fermentation, yung metabolism niya. Si Micrococci, pag alam yung strict aerobe siya, hindi nyo na kailangang i-memorize na oxidation yung process niya. Nagigets po ba yon? Okay. And then, let us talk about the different antibiotic. Ano ba yung dalawang reaction na pwede nilang i-respond, no, with the antibiotics like furoxone, okay, bacitracin, lysozyme, lysostafin. So we have terminology such as the R and the S. R, resistant, S, susceptible, or sensitive. Okay. So, pag resistant, yung bacteria, okay, was not inhibited. Pag susceptible, bacteria are inhibited. Anong ibig sabihin ng inhibited? Alright. So, I'll be showing you a picture. So, balikan ko to later. Okay. So, eto po. Okay. This is called anti-susceptibility testing. Okay? So, ito po ay tinatawag na anti-susceptibility testing. Di ba, ma'am, ang AST, pina-perform natin yan. This is step number 6. Pero bakit po natin siya pina-perform sa step number 5 as a biochemical test? Kasi, may mga organism na may specific na reaction sa mga antibiotic. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, pwede natin siyang gamitin to identify the bacteria. Halimbawa, ito, si bacitracin. Bacitracin is an antibiotic in which your Staphylococcus has and Micrococcus, no, has different reaction with the bacitracin. So we can use it to differentiate your Micrococcus from the Staphylococcus using bacitracin. Kasi magkaiba ang reaction nila sa bacitracin eh. So kahit na anti-susceptibility test siya, pwede mo siyang gamitin to identify or to differentiate them. Nagigets po ba? So, there are different methodology of AST ha. Marami pong method ng AST. So, ito yung tinatawag nating disk diffusion. Yan. Itong method ay disk diffusion, in which this is an antibiotic disk. So, ibig sabihin, ang laman nito ay bacitracin. Specifically, 0.04 unit of bacitracin. Ito namang nakikita niyong white, ito yung growth ng bacteria. Yan, growth ng bacteria yan. Ito din, growth ng bacteria. Kung mapapansin ninyo, surrounding the antibiotic disc, anong napansin? This is an example of what we call as the zone of inhibition. Okay? Ang ibig pong sabihin, pag may zone of inhibition, the growth of the bacteria were inhibited. Was pala. Inhibited. So, ibig pong sabihin, pag nakakita kayo ng zone of inhibition around the antibiotic disc, the growth of that bacteria, di ba, was inhibited. Ibig sabihin, naapektuhan sila nung antibiotic. So, anong interpretation natin? So, going back dun sa R at S, ano siya dun? R or S, resistant or susceptible? Pag may zone of inhibition,
Susceptible po.
correct. So, ito yung tinatawag nating susceptible or sensitive. On the other hand, nakita niyo to, meron pa ring growth. Ibig sabihin, walang zone of inhibition. Right? Ibig sabihin, kabaliktaran, the growth was not inhibited. So, ito yung tinatawag naman natin na resistant. Clear po ba yon? So magkaiba ang reaction ng Staphylococcus at Micrococcus sa bacitracin. Kasi babalikan ko yan ha. Okay na tayo dito. Sige po, screenshot na. So okay, so balik ako doon sa kanina. So as you can see from here, no, sa bacitracin, your Staphylococci is resistant and Micrococcus is susceptible. So ibig sabihin, dito, negative ang zone of inhibition. Dito naman, positive ang zone of inhibition. Kung susceptibility testing ang gagawin mo. Same goes with lysosome, 50 mg disc. Your Staphylococci will be resistant and Micrococci will be sensitive. Kabaliktaran naman ang reaction nila sa lysostafin, 200 microgram per ml na antibiotic, no? Susceptible ang Staph, Micrococci is resistant. Okay, dito naman, kung dito AST or anti-susceptibility testing yung method na ginagawa natin, dito sa Furoxone, ang ginawa lang, in-incorporate siya sa culture medium. So, ginamit siya as inhibitor. So, twin 80 oil red O agar. That is the culture medium. So, anong mangyayari? Kapag walang growth, negative ang growth, this is resistant. Diba? Walang tumubo. Kasi na-inhibit siya nung Furoxone. So therefore, Staphylococci is resistant. Ito may growth. So this is now sensitive. Diba? So, micrococci is sensitive to furoxone. Naintindihan po ba? In-incorporate lang po siya sa culture medium. Okay? Hindi siya ginawang AST method. But in terms of the reaction, parehas pa rin ang mai-interpret natin dyan. Naintindihan po? Okay na tayo dito. Proceed tayo with the others. Ito lang, I just want to show you the Rhotia, the Aerococcus, the Enterococcus, which are all similarly gram-positive cocci. Ano yung reaction nila with catalase, no? Modified oxidase, bacitracin, furazolidone, and lysostafine. And by the way, take a look at the aerotolerance. Only Aerococcus is strict aerobe. The rest are facultative anaerobe. Naintindihan? But of course, meron po tayong mga exemption. Okay. Sila Staphylococcus curie, Macrococcus casiolyticus, Staphylococcus lentus, and Staphylococcus vitulus. Okay. These are modified oxidase positive. Okay, di ba negative sila? Ang karamihan ng staphylococci sa modified oxidase. Ayan. Di ba negative? May exemption tayo dyan. Ito are modified oxidase positive staphylococci. Similar with micrococci. And di ba ang micrococci puro mga strict aerobe. Meron ding mga micrococci na facultative anaerobe. Okay? Sila Christinae at varians. These are facultative anaerobe micrococci. Clear tayo sa exemption. Sa bacteriology, meron silang general characteristic, pero merong mga exemption sa rules. You understand that? Okay na tayo? Sige, paki-screenshot na po before we move on to the next slide. Tip lang pagka nagme-memorize kayo, bago nyo i-memorize yung mga exemption, okay, i-memorize nyo muna yung general characteristic para hindi kayo nalilito. Halimbawa, you have to remember muna that staphylococci are modified oxidase negative. Pag alam na ninyo yon at hindi na kayo nalilito, tsaka ninyo i-memorize naman yung mga exemption. Okay? Kasi minsan, ang nangyayari, kapag sabay niyong minememorize yung exemption, nalilito rin kayo. Ano ba talaga ang mga micrococci? Microdase positive ba o negative? Okay? So to avoid confusion, strengthen niyo muna yung general, yung knowledge ninyo sa general characteristic before you memorize the exemption. Alright. So let us move on further with the other characteristic of staph. So, okay, bakit RS? Ibig sabihin nito, variable. May mga bacteria na hindi consistent yung reaction sa mga test. Katulad ni Rhotia, variable ang reaction na tawag natin dyan. Pwede siyang minsan, nagpapakita siya ng resistance or minsan, nagpapakita ng sensitivity. So, for you to identify Rhotia, katulad nito, positive or negative, variable din yan. Ibig sabihin, kapag catalase, pwede siyang mag-positive, pwede rin siyang minsan magpakita ng negative result. Alright? So, paano yun, ma'am? Hindi natin, kapag halimbawa mag-identify ka ng Rhotia, iniiwasan natin yung mga laboratory tests na nagpapakita ng mga variable results. So, pwedeng ang gamitin mo na lang si modified oxidase, pwede mong gamitin si lysostafine instead of furazolidone or bacitracin. So, ganun yung magiging approach doon kapag variable ang reaction. Alright, sige. So, let us proceed with the other characteristic. Kaya po, natin tinawag ang Staphylococcus as Staphylococcus? Because staphyle, it is a Greek word which means bunches of grapes. Bakit? Kasi nga 'di ba yung arrangement niya microscopically is a bunch of grapes. So, hence meron tayong Staphylococcus. Coccus kasi cocci yung kanyang morphology. Non-motile, ibig sabihin walang flagella, walang spore, and as we've mentioned, facultative anaerobe ang aerotolerance. But again, may exemption tayo. Si Staphylococcus saccharolyticus and Staphylococcus aureus subspecies anaerobius. Take note of this hindi po yan naka-italicize. At kung isusulat nyo, hindi rin po siya dapat i-underline. Kapag subspecies. Paki-take note yan kasi pag mali ang sinulat ninyo sa quiz in terms of the nomenclature, your answer will also be considered incorrect. Okay? So we've mentioned also earlier, ano ba to muna? By the way, ano ba muna ang aerotolerance ng Saccharolyticus at aureus? Ito po ay mga strict anaerobes. Okay? Strict anaerobes. And possibly, they are also catalase negative. Naalala ninyo, ang staph ay mga catalase positive bacteria. So sila po, maaari silang maging catalase negative. Okay? So nabanggit na natin kanina, normal flora ng skin at mucous membrane. Kasama si Chytococcus at Cocuria. Right? At take a look at this. Ano ang kulay? Ito po yung cream. Okay? Ayan yung grayish na colony. Ito naman yung golden yellow. So, dapat marunong po tayong mag-interpret ng kulay. Kasi makakatulong yan kapag nag-identify na tayo ng mga bacteria. This is step number 4A, 'di ba? Sa macroscopic. So, ang Staphylococcus aureus specifically, okay? Specifically, Staphylococcus aureus to Okay. Ito po yung kanyang colonial morphology. Next, bakit ba tayo nagko-culture sa BAP? Kasi gusto nating makita ang hemolytic pattern. So this is the colony. Nakita po ninyo tong surrounding, 'di ba? It's clear. So anong hemolytic pattern 'yan? What is the hemolytic pattern if the surrounding of the colony is clear? Alpha, beta, or none?
None po.
None? Tignan mo, clear. Ayan o, clear. O, anong hemolytic pattern yan? Meron yan, 'di ba? It's clear. What's the hemolytic pattern? Di po ba beta? Di po ba beta? Pero tama naman, no, Riza. Meron din silang non-hemolytic pattern. Okay? So later on, I'll show you an example of that. Pero kung pag-uusapan natin ng hemolytic pattern, they can show you a beta hemolytic pattern as well. Okay? So, by the way, ang mga Staphylococcus ay non-fastidious They are ano nga ulit ang difference pag fastidious at saka non-fastidious? Pag non-fastidious, what are these bacteria? Anong karakteristik? Sige, ayaw niyong sumagot. Magtatawag na lang tayo. Okay. Fast growers. Other than that, Angel. Ano nga ulit pag sinabi nating non-fastidious? Nandito ba, Angel Antonio? Naku, nag-a-attendance lang ata 'tong mga 'to. Wala? Okay, ilalagay natin na absent. October 5. Last call, nandito po ba? Antonio Angel, wala? Okay. Alright. That's right, no? Ibig pong sabihin, pag sinabi nating non-fastidious, hindi po nagre-require, no, ng additional nutrient. Ibig sabihin, it only require basic nutrients. Right? Pag sinabi naman nating fastidious, ito yung may ibang requirement. Require additional, okay, nutrients. Now, majority of the Staphylococcus are non-fastidious. Malinaw tayo doon. Ibig sabihin, basic lang talaga. Pero, meron silang mga strains na fastidious. Konti lang yon. Pero kung magre-requirement sila, very minimal yung requirement nila like carbon dioxide, hemine or yung X factor, at saka menadione. So kung magre-requirement sila, yan yung kanilang requirement. Pero ulitin ko, mga non-fastidious ang Staphylococcus. Okay? So let's proceed. By the way, before I forget, no, si Staphylococcus aureus and another is Staphylococcus epidermidis. Yan. So parehas po itong normal flora ng skin natin. Right? And meron po silang polysaccharide capsule na kung naalala ninyo, pwede ring mag-appear as a slime layer. So, yung polysaccharide nila, pwedeng mag-appear as a capsule or pwedeng mag-appear as a slime layer. And because of that, nagfo-form po sila nung tinatawag nating biofilm. Ano yung biofilm? So, once na yung mga bacteria, they aggregate, no, to one another, they form this biofilm, which will protect themselves from, halimbawa, mga antibiotic. Okay? Or from microbial agents. Yan. So, pwede po yan, pwede pong protect yan sa kanila. Parang nagiging way of protection nila against, halimbawa, alcohol, against yung mga disinfection agents natin, even kahit antibiotic, no? And also, this biofilm will help them attach to host surfaces. So, tinutulungan din po niyang biofilm na yan na madaling makapag-attach yung mga bacteria sa surfaces ng host. Okay? Dahil dyan sa slime layer na or capsule na yan. Malinaw po ba yon? Si aureus at epidermidis lang ha ang meron niyang capability na yan. Okay? Clear yon? Alright. So let us now proceed to the infections. So nakatabulate na dito yung mga infection kasama kung anong part ng body natin sila makikita. So halimbawa, ang aureus are found in nasopharynx to ha, pharynx, nabura lang yung X. Pwede rin sila sa skin, okay? Mga perineal area, okay? Your epidermidis, ito po ay pare-parehas, no? Kasama ang lugdunensis. Pare-parehas po yan na makikita sa skin and mucous membrane. So, ang saprophyticus, maaari ding makita yan sa genitourinary tract, kaya may capability sila na mag-produce or mag-demonstrate or mag-cause ng UTI. Okay? So, kung mapapansin ninyo, ang Staphylococcus aureus ang may pinakamaraming possible infection. No, major infections po ito. So, ito ay example ng folliculitis. Nagkaroon na ba kayo niyan? Ito naman ang example ng furunkel, or in other words, or in layman's term, ayan po ay boil or pigsa. Pag folliculitis, okay, inflamed pa lang yung area. Okay, ibig sabihin, 'di ba sa skin natin, meron tayong mga hair follicle. Tapos 'di ba, ito yung hair follicle gland. Ito. Once it is infected with Staphylococcus aureus, nagiging folliculitis yan pag maliit, furunkel kapag it's already large, no? At nagiging carbuncle yan kapag meron ng systemic reaction. Halimbawa ng mga systemic reaction, nagkaroon ng fever yung pasyente, it's already carbuncle. So folliculitis, pag maliit, pag malaki na, furunkel, okay, pagka malaki na siya, kamukha ng furunkel, at meron ka ng nararamdaman na fever, that's already carbuncle. Okay? So, ang pinaka-common na nagkukos niyan would be the Staphylococcus aureus. Kaya nga sinasabi nila, ang boil, nakukuha lang din yan, pero hindi to all the time ha. Ang boil, kailangan para maiwasan mo siya, you should be hygienic. 'Di ba yun ang kadalasang biro kapag nagkakaroon ka ng pigsa? 'Di ba? Ibig sabihin ay hindi ka naliligo, right? Kasi yung normal flora hindi nabawasan. Si normal flora natin, si Staphylococcus aureus, pumunta siya sa mga hair follicles mo. At doon, in-infect niya, kaya nagkaroon ka ng boil. 'Di ba? Alright, ma'am, paano po kapag, what do you mean namana? Hindi po ito namamana ha. Okay? Ito po ay possibly, halimbawa, bakit po ma'am yung pag meron po ako, kaming family members, nagkakaroon lagi kami ng pigsa? It's just because possibly hindi po malinis yung mga ginagamit natin na mga gamit like your garments, no? Halimbawa kasi meron ng isa sa family. Pwede po yan, pwede pong magkaroon din yung isang family member. Paano? Halimbawa, di ba nagkaroon kayo ng pigsa. Tapos di ba yung pigsa, meron siyang fluid, yung pus. Yung pus na yon may kasamang bakterya yon. Kapag halimbawang yung pus napunta sa mga halimbawa sa kumot na same na ginagamit na kumot ng kapatid mo, magkakaroon din. Bakit? May bakterya yung kumot na yun eh. O kaya yung mga towels. Alright? May possibility, yes. Hindi po siya kasing infectious ng ibang bacterial agent, pero once na napunta yung bacteria sa follicle dahil doon sa infected garment. Kaya nga, lahat kapag halimbawa nagkaroon kayo ng pigsa, ikaw lang dapat ang gumamit ng mga garments muna na yon, unless otherwise, nalabahan na. Pag nalabahan na yan, walang problema. Okay? Mamamatay naman dyan ang aureus. Okay? Yan. Wala pang study na nagsasabi na inherited ito. Okay? Usually, ano lang naman yan, kailangan lang linisin siguro yung mga gamit para once na halimbawa nagkaroon yung isang family member, wala nang mahahawa pa. Okay? Yung mga kumot na ginamit, yung mga towels na ginamit, damit, kailangan nakahiwalay din yung damit mo na halimbawa na nalagyan ng pus, no? Ihiwalay mo yan sa damit. Huwag mong ilalagay sa marumihan, okay? Doon sa inyong hamper na may damit din na kasama yung iba. So, lalabahan yan separately. Okay? Dapat lagyan ng bleach yon para mamatay yung bacteria. Kasi pag nilabahan nyo yan together with the clothes of the other member of the family, maka in time, no, may natirang bacteria doon sa hindi tama yung laba, hindi natanggal doon sa garment mo o nasalin lang siya sa garment ng iba, talagang magkakaroon yung ibang family member nyo. Okay? So dapat disinfect yung area. All right. Then o kaya takpan niyo yung sugat para walang nagkakaroon ng contact doon sa pigsa. At wag ninyong ipuputok unless kusa siyang pumutok. Okay? Kasi pag pumutok na yan, you need to drain it para wala nang matirang pus. At kasama doon, matatanggal pati yung bacteria. There will be times na pag malaki talaga siya, kailangan niya ng incision. Ibig sabihin, kailangan ng intervention ng doktor. Okay? So anyway, lahat naman siguro kayo nagkaroon na niyan. Tama ba ako? Lahat kayo niyan, nagkaroon na. Alright, let us now move on to the virulence factor. Hindi ibig sabihin, wag niyo ikakahiyan na nagkaroon kayo ng pigsa, no? Hindi ibig sabihin yan, hindi kayo naliligo. May mga pagkakataon talaga, pag minalas-malas ka talaga, kahit na anong linis ng katawan mo, talagang napupunta ang Orius doon. Okay? Wala kang magagawa dahil normal flora nyo yan. So, there will be times talaga na matatrap siya sa follicles ninyo. Okay? Na magkukos ng boil. Anyway, so let us move on to the virulence factor. So number 1 is the enterotoxin. So meron tayong A to E, G to J group. So A, B, C, D, E, di ba? G, H, I, J. So from the ones that are causing staphylococcal food poisoning, these are enterotoxin A to E. TSS BCGI, Staphylococcal pseudomembranous enterocolitis is caused by enterotoxin B naman. So, pwede po ba, halimbawa, sa food, no, na nagkukos ng food poisoning, pwede po ba natin na pakuluan yung pagkain? Nasisira po ba sila ng heat? Yes, pero dapat 100 degrees Celsius for more than 30 minutes. So, ibig sabihin, sa mga ulam, 'di ba ang Pilipino ang hilig sa pangat. You know what pangat is? Pangatlong init. Like adobo, menudo, 'di ba? So mahilig tayo diyan. So ngayon, ang nangyayari guys, kailangan sa food safety. Sa food safety, kailangan supposedly maubos na yung pagkain at one sitting. Pero ang mga Pilipino kasi may culture tayo na ang ano natin is, totoo naman yun. Kahit naman ako, mas masarap kapag kinabukasan yung ibang ulam, di ba? Like, malapit na ang Pasko ngayon. Anong pagkain at handa sa Pasko ang masarap kinabukasan? Naalala niyo yun? Ano? Yeah, spaghetti. Right. Pero, lechong paksiw. Tama po yun. Ang sarap, no? Lechong paksiw. Ano pa? Menudo. Malapit na ang Pasko. Pahingi ng handa. Pero, tatandaan ninyo, kapag na-contaminate yan ng enterotoxin, pwede po yan mag-lead sa food poisoning. So, ano po mamang gagawin namin para maiwasan namin ang food poisoning? So, pakukuluan po ninyo, 'di ba? Or iinitin niyo yan dapat sa 100 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. Paano po ma'am kung adobo, di sa 30 minutes wala na siyang sabaw? Tama. Pag spaghetti, paano pakukuluan ng 30 minutes? Wala ng sauce, 'di ba? So kaya nga ang general rule natin sa food is once na niluto dapat 'yan, mauubos 'yan at one time. Wala na dapat tayong i-store pa na kinabukasan kakainin ulit natin. Otherwise, kailangan ma-follow natin 'to para masira etong enterotoxin A, B, C, D, E na 'yan. 'Di ba? O, tama 'yon. Wala nang natira kasi sunog na. Tas 'di ba 'no, sinisi ako ng mga magulang ninyo. Malapit na yung Pasko, kaya mamayang gabi, no? Minsan pa man din sa mga families, ang nangyayari, yung ulam ninyo ng tanghalian, minsan, yun na yung nagiging ulam ninyo ng dinner. O, tapos naging nature na ninyo. Ay, ayoko na yan, mami. Hindi na po kakain yan. Kasi po sabi nung teacher ko, baka daw po magka-food poisoning. Or pag inutusan kayo ng parents ninyong mag-init, halimbawa, sinigang. Mami, sabi ng teacher ko, pakuluan ko daw, anak, bakit wala na tayong ulam? Kasi nasunog na, O, tapos sinisi niyo ako, tapos sinugod ako ng magulang ninyo. Ang galing. Okay, gagamitin din natin ng common sense, ha? Okay, sige po. So, just make sure lang na, of course, sa culture natin, hindi natin maiiwasan yun. Just make sure lang na tama yung storage para hindi po siya ma-contaminate. Okay? Tama yung storage and pagkatapos kainin, halimbawa, pag lumamig na, ilagay na agad sa refrigerator. Okay? Huwag hahayaan na walang takip, no? Na nakatiwangwang lang on your tabletops. Okay? So, i-store siya properly. Alright, let's move on. For the toxic shock syndrome, kung napansin nyo, wala yung enterotoxin F doon sa nabanggit natin kanina kasi this one is now known as the toxic shock syndrome, toxin 1, which is causing the toxic shock syndrome. Alright, so the TSST1 is also known as pyrogenic exotoxin C. Okay, toxin C. And in the US, this one are commonly found sa mga babae na gumagamit ng, alam niyo yung tampons? Women to 15 to 25 years old using tampons. Yan. So sa Pilipinas, ang mga babae during their menstruation, they're using pads. Sa US, most of them, they are using tampons during the menstruation. So, but there were records indicating that in women ages 15 to 25 years old, having the TSS, the source is actually the tampons. Okay? Kaya sila nagkakaroon ng toxic shock syndrome. So, kasi nai-infect yung nako-contaminate yung tampons. Kasi yung tampon, ipapasok mo yan sa loob ng vagina eh. And it will stay there as long as na mapuno siya. So halimbawa, half day or buong araw siyang nandun sa loob ng vagina. So pag yun ay contaminated with staph, pwede po, tapos may TSST1, nagkakaroon po ng toxic shock syndrome yung patient. So kung mapapansin nyo dito, may desquamation. Desquamation. Ibig sabihin na tatanggal yung balat. Okay? Of course, this is accompanied with fever and hypotension. Okay? Kaya, nagkakaroon ng shock yung patient na nagli-lead sa death. O imagine, gumamit ka lang ng tampon, namatay ka, di ba? Dahil lang sa tampon. So, kung contaminated siya, maaari po. Kaya nakakatakot, guys, ang microbial agents. Hindi mo kasi sila nakikita. And once na pinalas ka, di ba? Dahil lang sa tampon na contaminated, maaari po yang mag-lead sa shock and death. Okay? And then this naman, exfoliative toxin. Okay, this is a serine protease which is splitting serine protease that split the intracellular bridges of the epidermis, resulting to extensive, how do you call this, sloughing. Sloughing, ibig sabihin natutuklap. Okay? Of the epidermis. Okay? Na parang merong burn-like effect. Parang napaso. Okay? Burn-like effect. Okay? So, ayan naman ang karakteristik ng staphylococcal scalded skin syndrome. Okay? Scalded skin syndrome. SSS. So that is caused by the epidermolytic toxin A and B, or also known as exfoliative toxin. Okay. Next tayo, cytolytic toxin or cytotoxin. These are affecting lysing red blood cell or leukocyte. So, ang tawag natin doon, hemolysin or leukocidin. Hemolysin are targeting RBC, leukocidin are targeting WBC, especially the PMN, polymorphonuclear cell. So, ang Staphylococcus aureus, meron siyang alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Alpha, ito yung target na cells. Ang beta, hemolysin, that is also known as sphingomyelinase C because it is targeting the sphingomyelin na makikita sa plasma membrane ng RBC. Kaya ang target po niyan ay mga RBC. Bakit siya tinawag na hot-cold lysine? Kasi yung hemolytic capability niya is enhanced at 37 degrees Celsius and 4 degrees Celsius. Ibig sabihin, pagka in-expose mo siya sa 37, tapos after you expose them at 37, nilagay mo siya sa 4 degrees Celsius, mas nagiging enhance yung hemolytic activity ng bacteria. Kaya siya tinawag na hot-cold lysine kasi it's affected by the temperature. Malamig, mainit. Pag nilagay mo sa mainit, tapos nilagay mo sa malamig, mas maganda yung nagiging hemolytic capability niya. So, it is used in the CAM test. So, ang CAM test, ginagamit natin yan to identify Streptococcus agalactiae, which will be part of our topic next week. So, sa CAM test, ginagamit natin ng beta hemolysin. Okay. Another will be the delta. Delta is less toxic and it is not only for Staphylococcus but also for epidermidis and hemolyticus. Gamma hemolysin, on the other hand, will help the PVL, which is targeting the PMN. Okay? So, Panton, Valentin, Leukocidin. So, they are targeting the PMN, your WBC. Kaya walang nangyayaring phagocytosis. Kasi nasisira yung mga PMN nila Staphylococcal leukocidin and gamma hemolysin. Okay? Next, may mga enzymes din. Hyaluronidase, this is also known as the spreading factor. Bakit spreading factor? Kasi etong enzyme na to ang tinatarget yung hyaluronic acid na makikita natin sa mga connective tissue natin. Kaya kung mapapansin niyo minsan yung sugat, 'di ba? From a smaller sugat, parang nung na-infect, bakit parang palaki siya ng palaki? Yung diameter ng sugat. Kasi po may capability na mag-spread ang Staph aureus via the hyaluronidase targeting the hyaluronic acid in our tissue. Okay? Then meron din siyang lipase, kaya kadalasan yung mga oily faces ng patients dermatologically, sila yung prone sa acne formation. Acne. 'Di ba? Acne is also an infection caused by Staphylococcus aureus also. Okay? Pimple. And then protein A, this is found in the cell wall. It's targeting, remember, this is antibody. Complement is also part of our specific. 'Di ba? Antibody, parehas to ay specific immune response. Naalala niyo sa introduction? And not only that, also blocking phagocytosis. Okay? Kaya madami pong kinokos na infection ang Staphylococcus aureus kasi marami siyang virulence factor, including its peptidoglycan and the teichoic acid. Right. So let us proceed to with the workflow. So for the specimen collection, lagi niyong tatandaan kung nasaan yung infection. Kung nasaan yung infection, dun yung ating site of collection. So kung halimbawang boil yan, o maganda kung aspirate yung fluid. Pero kung walang fluid, pwede naman swab ang gagamitin natin. Yun nga lang, it is less satisfactory. Bakit? Madali po kasing matuyo. Kailangan mo pa siyang ilagay sa transport medium. Di po ba? And then, dalawa laging swab ang kinokollect natin. One for culture and the other one for the direct smear. In which, eto po yung makikita natin. Sa direct smear ay ang mga orange na yan po yung pus. Yan po yung PMN. Okay? And then, these are the gram-positive cocci. Yang parang nakikita niyong bilog-bilog na yan, that is the gram-positive cocci in cluster na makikita natin during the direct microscopic examination. Okay? Next, culture. So, bakit ba tayo gumagamit ng BAP? BAP kasi, okay, tingnan natin to ha. Diba, this has blood or enriched with blood. So, makikita natin ang hemolytic pattern. This is none or yung gamma na tinatawag. At eto naman yung beta. Yung pinakita ko kasi inyo kanina doon sa first few slide natin. So, ibig sabihin, ang Staphylococcus aureus, meron po siyang dalawang possible reaction or dalawang possible hemolytic pattern. Pwede po siyang maging gamma, pwedeng beta. Naintindihan? Sa MSA, we already discussed about the MSA during our discussion sa bacterial cultivation. Okay, Staphylococcus aureus is capable of Coccus aureus. Okay, it is capable of utilizing mannitol, right? And is also capable of tolerating 7.5 sodium chloride. Kaya anong kulay niya sa MSA? Yung dilaw. Pero tandaan, kamukha po siya ng Staphylococcus saprophyticus. Bakit? Staphylococcus saprophyticus will also show us the same result. Staphylococcus saprophyticus. Okay, this will also show us a yellow colony in MSA because of this as well. No? Kaya niya ring mag-tolerate ng 7.5 sodium chloride at kaya niya ring mag-utilize ng mannitol. Ito are other Staphylococci. Okay po? Hindi nag-utilize Hindi po nag-utilize ng mannitol. Naintindihan? Okay, and this is the PEA. PEA is a selective medium for gram-positive bacteria. Ano ba ang staph? Di ba gram-positive? Kaya tutubo siya dyan. Naintindihan po ba? Okay, another. Ito naman ay mga chromogenic medium or media na pag kinulture natin yung bacteria, magpapakita sila ng specific na kulay. Okay, halimbawa, this is mauve. This is a brand yan ha, of culture medium, chrome agar. Once na kinultivate natin ang Staphylococcus dyan, aureus, specifically aureus ha, this is for Staphylococcus aureus. Only ha, sorry. Okay, eto yung magiging color nila. And this is blue-green. This is another brand, high chrome agar. Blue-green naman ang kulay ng Staphylococcus aureus. Okay? So, let's proceed. Tandaan po ha, ang aureus, pwede po yan na magpakita ng non or yung gamma or beta na hemolytic pattern. Pero ang epidermidis will always be non-hemolytic in BAP. Microscopically, ito po yung grape-like clusters, gram-positive cocci. Okay? And then let us move on with the biochemical test. So for the biochemical test, we are going to use the catalase. So sabi ko nga kanina, pag nakita mo gram-positive cocci, ano ang initial? Catalase test. At ano ang reagent? Ang ating reagent is the 3, this is according kay Delos, or 30%, which is according kay Mahon and Baylis. Parehas lang po accepted. Okay? Ang dalawang yan. Naintindihan? H2O2 or the hydrogen peroxide. So, if catalase is present, ano ang product? Oxygen and water. Kaya naman, ang ating positive result ay effervescence or bubble formation, which will be shown by the staph and the micrococcus. Negative si streptococcus and enterococcus. Okay, negative po sila ha. Positive si staph at micrococcus. This is positive, this is negative. Okay? Next, microdase test. So, ang reagent po natin, oxidase reagent, cytochrome C, we will be forming the product indophenol after 2 minutes, which ang positive ay blue or blue purple or purple-blue color. Ito naman ang negative. And again, ang positive dyan ay si micrococcus. Dapat ito naka-italicize yan ha. Okay, micrococcus. So, madali namang tandaan. By the way, microdase is a brand name. Okay. Ang generic name po nito ay modified oxidase. Okay? Generic nito na name ng test ha ay modified oxidase. Okay na? Next, bacitracin, which I have already mentioned earlier. Diba yung zone of inhibition? Pero guys, minimeasure natin yung diameter niyan ha. Kailangan ng diameter ay more than 10 mm para makonsider natin siya as susceptible. If it is less than 10 mm, no, that's considered resistant or kung walang zone of inhibition. Resistant ang interpretation natin. Hindi necessarily dapat meron zone of inhibition lang. We need to measure the zone of inhibition. More than 10 millimeter data. Dapat, if less than that and wala talagang na-form, that will be considered resistant. Okay? So of course, alam naman natin, staph is resistant, micrococci is susceptible for the bacitracin. Okay? Next, let us proceed to the oxidation fermentation. Okay. Bago ko i-explain kung bakit positive-positive at positive-negative ang micrococcus, pag-usapan muna natin yung medium, no? Okay. So, meron po itong mga, this is OFBM, this contains carbohydrates. And of course, kung may carbohydrate, merong pH indicator. The pH indicator is brom-thymol blue, in which if there's acid, it will turn to yellow. If there's no acid, it will be green. Okay? So, if this is your culture, you will have to inoculate the culture into 2 OFBM. Dalawang OFBM ang gagamitin mo. Yung isang OFBM, lalagyan natin ng additional na mineral oil. Sterile mineral oil ha. Kung walang sterile mineral oil, pwedeng gumamit ng sterile melted petrolatum. Or pwede rin gumamit ng sterile na paraffin oil. Para saan ito? This will, dito na lang. This will enhance or provide an aerobic condition. Okay? Tapos yung isa, aerobic. So this is anaerobic. This is aerobic. Bakit aerobic? Kasi wala kang nilagay na mineral oil. Okay, i-differentiate natin ha. Si 1A, 1B, yan yung una nating set of OFBM na nilagyan natin ng bacteria. So kung nakita ninyo parehas, merong acid. Tama po ba? Parehas na merong acid. So, ibig sabihin, anaerobically, nag-produce ng acid, anong nangyaring process? Fermentation. Tama? May acid sa aerobic. Anong nangyaring metabolism? Oxidation. Tama po ba? So, anong aerotolerance nito? Aerotolerance. Ano nga ulit yung with or without oxygen? With or without oxygen? Kaya niyang mag-metabolize or kaya niyang mag-survive? Facultative anaerobe. So, eto yung magiging result ng mga organism sa OFBM na facultative anaerobe. Ibig sabihin, positive sa oxidation, positive sa fermentation. And going back, no? Balik ako dito sa unang slide natin. Bakit positive sa O? Bakit positive sa F? Okay, kasi ang Staphylococcus ay mga facultative anaerobe. Naiintindihan po ba? Okay? Positive sa oxidation, positive sa fermentation. Okay, next. Proceed tayo. Okay, eto naman, walang acid. Ulitin ko ha, this is anaerobic, this is aerobic. So, this one, may acid. So, ibig sabihin, this is negative sa fermentation, this is positive sa oxidation. So, anong aerotolerance nito? Pag positive lang sa oxidation at negative sa fermentation, merong acid sa aerobic condition pero wala sa anaerobic condition. Ano ang aerotolerance nito? Strict aerobe, 'di ba? Right. Bakit strict aerobe? Kasi po, si Micrococcus yan. Positive sa oxidation, negative sa fermentation. Right? Kasi ito ay mga strict aerobe. Malinaw po ba? Of course, except Christinae and variants kasi facultative anaerobe sila. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, ito ang OF result ng staph, right? At ito naman ang OF ng Micrococcus. At this one, parehas na walang acid, negative ang acid, ito yung tinatawag nating asaccharolithic or yung tinatawag nating non-utilizer. Ibig pong sabihin, with or without oxygen, hindi po siya nagpo-produce or hindi po siya gumagamit ng carbohydrate. Kaya walang na-produce na acid. Malinaw ba yon? Okay. So, okay tayo dito? Okay, sige. Next. Alright, proceed tayo sa coagulase test. Okay. Dito tayo, there are two forms of coagulase enzyme. May bound or yung tinatawag nating clamping factor. It means that if this is the Staphylococcus aureus, nandito po sila sa cell wall. Ayan, nakabound sa cell wall. Ang reagent natin ay reagent. Human or rabbit or pig plasma. Ideally, dapat rabbit. Okay, plasma. Kukuha ka ng blood, kunin yung plasma. Ang anticoagulant ay EDTA. So, in the slide kasi yan, maglalagay po tayo ng 1 drop no, ng plasma. And then, from the culture, using an applicator stick applicator stick, i-emulsify natin. Dapat may mangyaring clumping. Ito yung clot na tinatawag natin. Hindi po siya dapat tawaging fibrin clot. Okay? Clot lang dapat yan. Kasi the clot, ayan nakikita niyong white na yan, that this should be against a dark background para madali niyong makita yung clumping ng cells. So, the clot represents the clumping of the cell. Do you understand? Kung mapapansin ninyo, ito negative, ito positive. Sa negative, as you can see, homogeneous siya. Wala pong nag-clump kasi walang coagulase, bound coagulase, or walang clumping factor. Kasi once na nagdagdag ka dito, ano bang ang makikita natin sa plasma? Fibrinogen. Si fibrinogen ang magdidikit-dikit dyan. Fibrinogen. Kaya po, nagka-clump sila together because of the fibrinogen in the plasma. Okay? Next. Positive po to kay Aureus, Lugdunensis, and Schleiferii, So, etong tatlong to nagpa-positive sa slide coagulase test. So, this is only a screening. Bakit screening? Kasi may almost 5 to 15% na Aureus na nagne-negative sa slide coagulase. So, kailangan po nating i-confirm kung talagang negative siya or positive via the tube coagulase test. So, this time, gagawin mo naman siya sa tube. Maglalagay ka ng 0.5 ml ng plasma. Tapos yung culture, ganun ulit, lagay kay 0.5 or transfer kay 0.5 ml plasma. Then, kailangan natin tong incubate for 4 hours at 37 degrees Celsius. Monitoring the clot every 30 minutes interval. Okay. Bakit kailangan ng 30 minutes interval? Kasi within the 4 hours, may possibility po na mag-form ng clot. Pero dahil dito kay fibrinolysin, yung clot na yan maaari pong malays. Kaya every 30 minutes, kailangan po natin i-check. So, di ba ilalagay nyo yun sa incubator, kailangan nyo siyang i-check every 30 minutes kung may clot na ba na na-form. Okay? Kasi ang possibility kung after 4 hours, nag-negative siya, baka may na-form talaga. Yun nga lang, hindi mo nakita kasi na-lyse na siya nung fibrinolysin within the 4 hours. Okay po? Malinaw yon? Okay. Ngayon, paano kung negative pa rin after 4 hours? What will happen? You need to extend incubation overnight. Okay, for 24 hours na yan But this time, at 21 to 25 degrees Celsius or yung tinatawag nating room temperature. Bakit? Kasi hindi po dapat sa 37 Not at 37. Why? Because this will enhance fibrinolysin. Ibig sabihin, ma-enhance yung lysis. Kailangan sa room temperature lang. Okay po? Okay. Next. By the way, this is the confirmatory Confirmatory. Okay. Next tayo. PYR. So, makakita tayo ng bright red color. So, ito yung mga positive na organism. Schleiferii, Intermedius, Lugdunensis. This is positive, this is negative. Detection ng enzyme na L-pyroglutamyl aminopeptidase. So, you will have a bright red color produced by Lugdunensis, Intermedius, and Schleiferii. Negative dito ang Orius Okay. And then we have the Voges-Proskauer. On the other hand, Orius ang nagpa-positive, the rest will be negative. This is the production of neutral end product. These are example of the neutral end product, which is only produced by Staphylococcus aureus. This is positive, this is negative. So kulay pula din. Okay? And then we have the DNA hydrolysis. Tandaan po natin, mo. Ito yung DNA's positive organisms. So, sila yung nagpa-positive dito sa DNA's hydrolysis. Yung isang S po dyan ay si Staphylococcus aureus. So, ano yung isang S? Streptococcus pyogenes. Yung isang S, Serratia. And yung Mo is Moraxella. Okay. So yan ito yung mga DNA's positive organism. So ang positive result dito, itong clear. Kasi na-utilize kung positive ang DNA's na enzyme, yung DNA na may methyl green complex na u-utilize. Kaya nagiging clear. On the other hand, negative po ay green. Okay, eto po, negative yan. Ibig sabihin, walang DNA's enzyme. Okay? And then we have the novobiosine. So susceptibility test din siya, pero ang zone of inhibition dapat more than 16. para ma-consider nating susceptible. If it is less than 16 millimeter, it is considered resistant. So, ito yung group ng bacteria. Okay? Ginagamit natin to differentiate the cons. Yan. Para ma-differentiate natin yung mga cons. Cinovobiosin. Okay? And then, this is our diagram. So once you saw a gram-positive cocci, perform catalase. If it is positive, perform coagulase. If positive for both the slide and the tube, you can report Staph aureus. But if not, proceed tayo sa modified oxidase or yung microdase and or bacitracin. Pag positive at susceptible, you can report micrococcus. If not, mga cons yan. Perform tayo ng novobiosin. So, if it is susceptible, epidermidis and others. And if it is resistant, saprophyticus. Ito naman po sa kabila yung streptococcus. Okay po? And then finally, okay na to, hindi ko na to i-include. Pero kung gusto ninyong further i-differentiate yung mga cons, you can use this table. Alright? And then, finally, we have the microbial resistance. So, may mga bacteria ngayon na resistant na kay penicillin. Okay? So, ang tawag natin doon, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. Naalala nyo dati, pag nagkakasugat kayo, bumibili kayong penicillin, di ba, ginaground nyo yon, dinidikdik, tapos binubudbud sa sugat. Right? Paano kung hindi aureus yung causative agent? Ano ang na-expose? Yung normal flora. Okay? Kaya po, nag-develop ng resistance. Okay? So, ano na ngayon ang treatment? Vancomycin. Okay? Nafcicillin, oxacillin, or cefoxitin. Ito rin ang yung nagiging treatment natin with the MRSA. And then, macrolide resistance. Ito naman yung tinatawag nating the D-zone. So, gumagamit ka ng erythromycin. And ito yung clindamycin. So, ano ha? 2 microgram at saka 15 microgram. So, pagka nangyari yung D-zone na yan, that is positive for the macrolide resistance. Ibig sabihin, resistant sa clindamycin. Okay? So, pag-usapan natin yung gene responsible for developing the methicillin resistance. You call it the MECA gene. And then for the macrolide, gene. Yan. Sila yung nagde-develop ng resistance dun sa bacteria. By the way, nag-develop na rin ng resistance sa vancomycin. So, tawag naman natin doon, VRSA, vancomycin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. Okay? So, hanggang dito lang po yung topic natin for today. If you want to further read about the topic, you can read Mahon, Baylis and Scott's, Henry's, The Lost. Okay? So, ayun lang po. Next week, we'll be meeting and kasama po ito sa quiz natin next week. Ha? Kasama po ito.